it's your boy Young I give him that thing. Punch all legs stand and punch it America. Banyi dwal ban punch all legs stand and punch it America. Banyi dwal ban wo ko jile kankaro watana watchin. Oga level leg gear kwa ugare leg. Panda wadia punch it America. Banyi dwal ban chingitongo pandon kujuera baya cheka. Paku panda juero wadia bi Panchi America, Panji Dwal, Pancha Legs.
Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are tuning in to Lagos State Media Today show, one of the beautiful and wonderful series that we have started. We are on the way, which is the road to freedom and equality. Tonight, today, this afternoon, on board with me is my older brother, Arnold Benjamin Bill. We will be discussing some things that will make analysis and comparison. How did South Sudan gain independence? It went through atrocities, through wars and all these things like other countries. And other countries that are stable. Why us? So before we start to welcome my brother Arnold, I would like to play this song of our brother JJ Kang, who said that we are free at last.
Today we are free. Oh yes, we are free at last. Freedom has come today. We had it free, burning like a fire. Yeah. It must come true today. We are believers, believing in trouble. Yeah. It must come true today. Rise up, your banner is waving, freely in the air. Rise up, your flag is waving, freely in the air. But let me hear you sing. We are free at last. 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 Remember the day, a day of jubilation. Freedom has come today. Salute the martyrs, salute the warriors. Freedom has come today. Rise up, your banner is waving, freely in the air. Rise up, your flag is waving, freely in the air. Well, let me hear you sing. We are free at last. 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 We were marginalized, but never surrendered. We choose to be free. We are free at last. They try to colonize us, to do away with our culture, and we say no, no. We are free at last. Across the bridge, in the promised land, let's celebrate our victory. We are free at last. We are in the promised land. We are made our history. Let's celebrate. We are free at last. 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 Sing it loud. We are free at
Thank you so much. Kang JJ is one of the best songs of the Free Republic of South Sudan during the rising of the flag. That song has much with the situation and the environment. Coming to the topic, welcome my brother Arnold Benjamin Bill to Lake State Media Show today for the freedom, road to the freedom and equality. You will introduce yourself and greet the audience, and you will give a brief documentary that we're going to share with our followers, and then analysis will come from there.
Yeah, thank you so much, my brother Isaac Tiang, for giving me this opportunity to explain myself to the people of South Sudan. And I think it would be a privilege for me to sit with you in the studio today of Lake State, Great Lake State, to share the ideas of how our country just started struggling until today, the freedom we achieved, and all these struggling and difficulties that we went through. So thank you so much for that. And this is why I'm here today. And I don't have a background, any political, but I just love my country to come and share with you this a great opportunity this time. So thank you so much, and thank you for your viewers too.
Thank you so much, Brother Arnold Benjamin Bill, and all audience. The link is pinned down there. I need everyone to watch carefully into this video. We are now some days away from the independent 10th anniversary of the Republic of South Sudan to be independent country. And South Sudan, I need to let you know, is not the only country that has gone through wars, through ethnic cleansing or ethnic lines or divisions and all these things. There are other countries as well who went to the worst atrocities. But they are now back in peace, they united, and they are developing their country. We started today with a country centering within Africa called Rwanda. We watch this documentary, watch it, and join us later in the analysis. Thank you.
Before we started, we just wanted to warn our viewers. It might be some graphic pictures you might see, but those graphic you can bear with us, because we choose this one because we have the same similarity that happened in Rwanda. It happened to us in South Sudan. That's why we warning you before, so that you might see a graphic pictures and bear with that. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for adding in that one. And we don't own the copyright of these things as well. Thank you. Just stay back and watch the video.
Africa is growing at an explosive rate. For one tiny country on the continent, the transformation is being seen as a miracle. The country is Rwanda. In November 2009, construction began on a huge 6 billion yen hotel. The project, involving American and Chinese companies, is led by a Rwandan. He has run a number of large-scale projects since returning from overseas 10 years ago.
We are very happy because I believe the chemistry works. My fellow Rwandese and entrepreneurs of this country, that this is the way to go.
In 1994, tragedy engulfed Rwanda. A conflict between two tribes escalated into genocide. 800,000 people lost their lives. But today, Rwanda is rising from the ashes. Foreign investment is flowing into the country. Conflict and extreme poverty, the stereotypical images of Africa, are hardly seen here. Rwanda is establishing itself as one of the continent's major business hubs. This dynamic growth is the result of a national strategy. An economic strategy conference organized by the government attracts a smartly dressed crowd of businessmen. Who are these people?
You have all the potential and possibilities to become as big as you can be.
But an old scourge has returned to Rwanda, one that threatens to destabilize the country. Ethnic tension has resurfaced in a number of regions. One man is taking action to combat communal strife. He has started a project to promote coexistence among ethnic groups. Can Rwanda overcome its tragic history and make a new beginning? This series of programs is about the African dream. Africa is continuing to grow, blessed with abundant natural resources and a huge market of 900 million people. Today, we look at Rwanda, a country pursuing a miraculous recovery. Rwanda is located near the center of Africa. 10 million people live in a country about 26,000 square kilometers in size. The mass killings took place almost 16 years ago. How has life in Rwanda changed since then? We visited a village near the capital.
It's cheap. Clothes at a super low price.
This market was closed after the genocide. But now it is full of life and smiling people again.
No more ethnic conflicts. There's nothing better than peace.
A villager takes out his national identity card, calling it a symbol of peace. Today, people in Rwanda say they live in harmony without ethnic division.
In the past, ethnic identity like Hutu and Tutsi was written on the old ID card. But now we no longer have such division. We are all Rwandans.
Kigali is Rwanda's capital and economic center. It is experiencing an unprecedented construction boom. Hotels and office buildings are being built all over the city. A high-class residential area gleams in the sun. It's the site of luxury homes worth nearly 100 million yen. For the last 5 years, the nation's growth rate has averaged 8%, one of the highest in the world. Under strong government leadership, Rwanda has become one of the safest and least corrupt countries in Africa. Some of the key players in Rwanda's recovery are attending the business roundtable hosted by the president. The business elite of real estate, finance, and information technology. They all have something in common.
The UK, yeah. I came here from China.
I came back from Sweden. I worked for Volvo and was in charge of technology development.
I came back in Rwanda in 2007, and I was in Canada before. I was working there for the National Bank of Canada.
They were Rwandans in exile, a diaspora that fled from long-standing ethnic conflict. These former refugees, now wealthy and experienced in global business, returned to their country in great numbers after the genocide. One of the returnees is Rwanda's president, Paul Kagame. He made it government policy to harness the skills of his fellow exiles.
Out there in the different parts of the world, and I've been part of what happens there. When you reach here, what happens? Integrate this new thing you've learned or you've seen working in your own business. That contributes to Rwanda. Being tiny is being tiny, so you can't accept being tiny. And you have all the potential and possibilities to become as big as you can be.
The government has introduced tax benefits and encouraged those living abroad to return. Since the genocide, more than 1 million Rwandans have returned home. Their talents and huge financial investments have been the driving force for the country's speedy recovery. Rwanda's production of export crops like coffee is thriving. Its expanding tourist industry promotes gorilla safaris to foreign visitors. Development of housing and hotels is also rising fast. The spending power of returnees, meanwhile, has stimulated domestic demand. This is how the government envisions its future capital city. Office buildings occupied by the world's leading companies dominate the business district, while the shopping area is lined with luxury brand stores. Rwanda is striving to transform Kigali into Africa's main business center for logistics and information services. The Future City project is kicking off with the construction of a skyscraper. Kigali City Tower, the biggest office building in Rwanda, is being built at a cost of 3 billion yen. The project is being led by a former exile-turned-real estate tycoon. His name is Hatari Sekoko, and he is 49 years old. After many years living abroad, Sekoko came back to Rwanda 10 years ago. Since then, he has invested heavily in the construction of high-end hotels and international bus terminals. This office building, designed to attract major corporations from the West, will be fitted with the latest communication equipment, including fiber optic cables. Determined to make the landmark project a success, Sekoko searched for partners all over the world. He decided on a Chinese company for the construction because of its fast work and low cost. And he contracted an Indian company to supply the materials. The company says it can handle any kind of order through its network of 3 million Indians in Africa. Sekoko takes advantage of his contacts in the Rwandan diaspora to team up with the best partners worldwide. This network is his greatest asset.
You can come and do start to because we are sure this measure.
The real estate king leading Rwanda's reconstruction actually learned the basics of business in an unexpected place.
Moshi Kyotoshi, this is Sekoko. How are you? Sekoko cha.
Sekoko left his country with his parents when he was young and wandered around Africa. In the mid-1980s, he headed for Japan looking for business opportunities. He got his start in Osaka, exporting used cars to Africa. Living with the used car dealer he worked for, Sekoko learned everything he could about Japanese businesses.
Seeing how he was working teaches you quite a lot, prepares you quite a lot, right? And focus of it, development, and development out of hard work. You know how we work. You work fast, you eat very fast, you respond very fast. It's possible. If you want something and you work hard for it.
Taking his profit, he went to South Africa and invested in diamond mining. Later, He made a fortune running a food processing company in the United States. Successful as he was in developed countries, however, Sekoko decided to go back to his devastated homeland, Rwanda.
The way you love your mother. I think you have a mother, you have a mother, whatever it is, contribute to the country program. I believe I deserve to have a contribution.
The Rwandan diaspora has played an important role in rebuilding the homeland. This community of exiles is the product of a tragic legacy of European colonial rule. They belong to the Tutsi ethnic group. In colonial times, this minority group accounted for roughly 10% of Rwanda's population. When Belgium colonized Rwanda after World War I, it gave political power to the Tutsis, while providing them with higher social status and education. This policy of discrimination fueled the anger of the Hutus, the majority ethnic group accounting for over 80% of the population. In 1962, when Rwanda became independent, the Hutu majority took control of the government and turned the tables. They started retaliating against the ruling class Tutsis. Many of the Tutsis fled into exile to avoid repression. They became Rwanda's version of the diaspora, the dispersion of Jews across the globe after the loss of their ancient homeland. The Tutsis who escaped from Rwanda spread across Europe, the United States, and the rest of the world. The exiled community eventually exceeded 2 million people. The turning point came in 1994, when more than 800,000 Tutsis remaining in Rwanda were massacred. In response, the Tutsi diaspora organized an army which invaded Rwanda and formed a new government. This led to the returning of the Tutsis scattered around the world. As many as 1 million people, about half of the diaspora, came back to Rwanda. New Year's Eve. A service is held to celebrate the new year at a church in Kigali. A crowd of Tutsi returnees gathered to share their joy of welcoming the new year in their homeland. The service was broadcast live over the internet to about 1 million Tutsis still living in other countries.
What I wish for you this year is to dwell in God's presence.
Wars are still happening in many countries. But our country is blessed with peace and prosperity. Thank you, Lord.
prosperous Kigali celebrates the new year, something quite different is going on in Rusizi, in Rwanda's southwest. Trucks are coming in one after another from the neighboring Democratic Republic of Congo. On the trucks are Hutu refugees. They fled Rwanda after the genocide 16 years ago, afraid of reprisals by the Tutsis. The Hutu refugees are Rwanda's other diaspora. They started returning in large numbers when they heard their country had become peaceful and prosperous. After a 3-hour drive from the border, a refugee family of 10 arrived back in their home village.
What's going on? Why are you crying?
But sad news awaited the family.
My dad and mom are gone. They both died, leaving us behind.
The grieving woman thought she would see her parents after 16 years of separation, but they had passed away. The family set out for the 30-minute walk to their old home. But when they arrive, they face a situation they never expected.
Our house is gone.
The site where their house stood is empty, covered in grass.
This is a fragment of a pot. We've got nothing else left here.
Two years ago, a landslide hit this village and swept away many houses. The family's neighbors agreed to take them in for the time being. Some 100,000 Hutu refugees have returned to Rwanda during the past year. The sudden population surge is a big burden on poor villages.
We have too many people, but not enough land, and not enough work to earn money either. Wit's end.
While the Tutsi returnees prosper in the growing capital of Kigali, most Hutus languish in impoverished farming villages. This widening ethnic divide is creating an explosive situation. There have been a number of attacks on Tutsis in different areas of the country. In 2009, 22 people died in such violence. The perpetrators were mostly poor farmers of the Hutu tribe. Many of the attacks occurred in Rusizi, where there has been a steady influx of refugees. A former Tutsi exile has been trying to do something to improve the situation. Eugene Nyagahene, 51. He hails from the Rusizi district.
This is the second studio of the series, and so people can come easily to this.
Having lived in Europe for many years, he has seen a variety of initiatives on racial coexistence. He came back to Rwanda in the wake of the genocide and started the country's first private radio station. He believes that people must share accurate information. And now he was thinking about launching a new business in an effort to ease tensions in his own village.
Hello there, Eugene.
On this day, Eugene was visited by his 50-year-old cousin Pierre, another Tutsi who lived abroad. He exports coffee beans to many countries, America and Japan among them. The two came up with the idea of setting up a coffee business in Rusizi, working with local Hutu farmers.
We'll have the farmers grow coffee. And they'll harvest the beans too. What we will do is build a plant and handle exporting. It will be a win-win for all of us. We share our skills and work together for a common goal.
Instead of just doling out support to poor villagers, work with them and prosper together. That, the two men thought, would be the way to go about resolving the racial tensions.
It can't be declared overnight. Typically, I want to reconcile with my neighbors or my friends or whatever. It's a process, and one of the steps to achieve.
Share the video, guys, for all the intellectuals, diaspora, people of Republic of South Sudan. This is very, very important documentary that we all want to watch. Please share the video and watch it, and you can join us. The link is pinned down there, that you can join us if you have anything to say or analysis that we want to make that can improve our things. Please share it with your circle.
Today, Pierre visits the village to negotiate with the residents. Most of them are Hutu farmers. Still distrustful of the Tutsis, the villagers keep to their own tribe. Pierre chose this village for a reason. He'd heard that it is home to quality coffee beans, but the villagers don't know what to do because they lack the money and know-how to export them. Pierre proposed a joint venture. The villagers would grow coffee, and his team would construct a processing plant and export the harvest.
Let's build a factory on that slope, over there. If we all work together, we'll be able to make a lot of money.
The nation has seen few precedents of business collaboration between the Tutsis and the Hutus. While Pierre was winning over some of the villagers, others were not willing to trust him.
There was a time, of course, in 94, 95, 96, just after the genocide, it was very hard really to accept, even to see some other people. Better just forget, no longer coming here, because I don't want to see these people. That's one position that one can take. But the other position is, okay, why not come here and build a new society, build a new Rwanda?
Actually, the two tribes used to live happily together. As they shared the same language and culture, mixed marriages were quite common. But Belgian colonialism tore them apart. Because the Tutsis are relatively taller and have more pronounced facial features like Caucasians, Belgian rulers decided they were a more superior race to the Hutus. The Belgians took body measurements. They gave preferential treatment to the longer-nosed Tutsis while discriminating against shorter-nosed Hutus, thereby establishing a racial hierarchy. This deeply divided the two tribes that once lived in harmony. It started a tragic history of hatred and repeated slaughter. Pierre is trying to get his joint project off the ground. On this day, he was on his way to his birthplace near Chingwa village. At the time of the genocide in 1994, his family was living in this village. But Pierre was away, studying overseas. Pierre visited the site where his family home once stood.
Here there was one of the rooms. This was one of the rooms. There was another room here.
Then came the genocide. A group of Hutu farmers from a nearby village attacked his family. They tried to run away, but his mother, Nurundeji, and his brother and 3 sisters couldn't escape the pursuers and their machetes.
Sadness to see a place where my mother is living in this room, to remember my sisters were living in the other room, which was here. It was really sad to see what happened, what human beings can do. And I was angry at that time, and I was sad.
But Pierre has decided to face the Hutu villagers head on. He owes his resolve to his mother, whose words planted a strong belief in his mind. She was convinced that the Hutus and the Tutsis would be able to live together because they're all Rwandans. It was a day she longed to see.
The most important thing is not to continue and stay in the same situation. The best thing is to live in peace with others and prepare a better life for our children. I should not forget my sisters who are living here, who the good life that we had here, but still accept that we must go forward, we must continue living.
Pierre visited Chingwa village again and again in an effort to reach an agreement with the residents. On this day, he was to have one last talk. All the villagers were expected at the gathering, where they would vote on whether or not to proceed with the joint venture. The first to speak was the leader of the Agricultural Union, one of the supporters of the plan.
The joint project with Pierre will give us access to the global market and bring us huge profits. I hope you're all with me on this.
He was about to put it to a vote when someone spoke up.
I want to make sure of something. If the venture goes well and we make money, how do we know somebody else won't take it all away from us? Let me say something too. We need to also think about the ownership of our land. Some are worried that they'll lose their land.
That's right. Is he going to take away my farmland? No way. I'm not going to be fooled by his money. I will never give up the land I inherited from my ancestors.
One Hutu villager after another began to voice opposition. They were venting a distrust of the Tutsis that goes back to the colonial period.
This is going nowhere. It'll be impossible to reach an agreement. If you keep on like this.
Is the plan now going back to square one?
Please allow me to speak too.
Pierre began talking to the villagers.
I appreciate your taking the time to gather here today. I understand your concerns, but to change the village, I think this joint business is the only option we have. Your cooperation is essential to make it a success.
Pierre had one last hope for winning over the villagers. He handed out copies of a contract he had prepared for this occasion. It stipulated that all profits will be shared equally by the two sides. That's a very good deal, given that farmers' share is normally 30% or less for a venture like this. Pierre wanted the villagers to know that his project is different from past ones. that it's not meant to put one tribe under the control of another.
We're both equal partners. That's what's really important. If we trust each other and work together, we can achieve something big that can't be done by one side alone. Today, I want to promise you, I will do everything I can to make the plan a success. Let's remove the wall that separates us, one step at a time. I know we can do it because we're all Rwandans. Period.
After that, the villagers talked intensely for 2 hours. In the end, they gave their approval to proceed with the joint project. It was Pierre's offer to share profits equally that was the deciding factor. The joint project is a big step toward a society that his mother once dreamed of, a society where the two tribes live happily together.
It's really very important to come back and do something where we have our roots. Because if someone doesn't have his roots, it's something really very bad. It had a long way to go because I had to talk to individuals here, to talk to the cooperative, we had to reach an agreement, and this is a wonderful thing to see that we are ready.
Construction is proceeding smoothly on Kigali City Tower, Rwanda's largest office building. The project is in its final phase. Only interior work remains before completion. %90 of the office space in the landmark building has already been reserved. Hatare Sekoko returned to his homeland after years of wandering around the world. Now a real estate magnate, he was already preparing to kick off a new project.
This is my next project. Now over here, it will be the total commercial district. The buses which come from even Uganda, the neighboring countries, it's 7 hectares. It's like, as I say, a bird you keep in a cage. The moment you open a small hole, it flies faster than the ordinary bird which has been in a tree. Because the other one relaxing in a tree, it knows it can fly anytime. But the other one has not even had the hope, I can fly. So what happens when you open and give it, go for your freedom, what happens? It runs miles. There is quite big part of the chances to grow into a better place. And you can see 10 years after, it has come true.
At the end of January, a groundbreaking ceremony was held in Chikwa village for the new coffee plant. Pierre's cousin and project partner, Eugene Nyagahene, attended the ceremony with his family. Eugene suggested that the children help plant a coffee tree at the construction.
Yeah.
Ian, that's it. This is what we have watched, and it's very important documentary that is a lesson learned by our brothers in Africa, and that's what we want to put ourselves into their shoes to see. Ours is not that worse than theirs, I can say that. But please join us. The link is pinned down there. If you need to come and make some analysis or you need to write something in you can't want to appear in the panel, just give us your remarks to this video. My brother Arnold Benjamin Bill, thank you so much for joining us in this evening to be a part of this show such that we can analyze, compare ourselves. It's not only Rwanda, there are other countries that who went through problems like what is happening in South Sudan. Ours is not that big deal. It just need us to sit down together. We come together. We have a strong bound. This is where we can accomplish. Please go ahead. I give you the shot.
Yeah, indeed, my brother Tieng, you nail it right. Because when we see in South Sudan, we are not far from the Rwanda, but Rwanda managed to solve his problem and become one of the best country in Africa. So why not us, we South Sudan? So one thing that we can put in our mind is that all people of South Sudan, 64 tribes in South Sudan, we can be able to live together. Because the last thing we're gonna get it, we are South Sudanese. So if Rwanda made it, we'll be able to make it. Indeed, it is hard to see those things happening in Rwanda, similarly happening in South Sudan. But for a person like me, I have both types. I have Dinka blood and I have Nuer blood. That's why I'm really serious to see this documentary. And then I will come to conclusion. We are one, no matter what, no matter what. If it is your Nuer or Dinka or Shuluk or any tribe in South Sudan, we have to leave things that divide us in the back. And then we can hold our hand together and then we build our country. This is the reality, happened in Rwanda, but Rwanda made it clear. It made it clear as people watch it today. They say, okay, as long we are Rwanda, we have to build a new nation. The same thing, we have to build a new nation for our people, for our children, for our all South Sudanese. This is very tough documentary, but indeed, we have to, everybody have to sit by himself and reconcile himself, because this documentary show up three things. Show up development of Rwanda, which is we're looking for, the South Sudan, the same thing, and the same thing is show up reconciliation. We have to have a reconciliation as a one nation, and then they show up the forgiveness. Those are the themes that we have to take in this documentary as a South Sudanese. We have to take that one for ourselves. Thanks.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that, my brother Arnold Benjamin Bill and the viewers at large. Let me just play this song before I just come in.
The politicians are fighting for their freedom. Those that don't care about much, but
Politicians are hunting for their seats, and poverty is dying disease. Security with hunger. These public hunters, we are tired of dying. They don't care what, they don't care, they don't care what. Young or not dying, nobody cares. We are jobless, nobody cares. The world that we are doing this up tomorrow. We almost coming us. We are the leaders of today and tomorrow. The politicians are fighting for their own freedom. We are starving, we are hungry, and insecurity. The world is killing us for leaving. No, they don't love us. All they need is getting their seats and taking their shoulders up the and what they want, and what they need to. They only choose to be up to the reveal itself to come. Reach it with a weapon. They forgot us. Politicians are fighting for their own freedom. We got the freedom for no reason. Politicians are thinking of the Lord for freedom. They don't care of us. The nation. With the outside the war, we are to the war. We are tired of war. We are tired of the war. We need peace of mind. We are like children. We are home. We have no jobs. We are poor. We are the nation, but we are in the nation, and nobody cares of us. We are the properties, and nobody cares of us, and nobody cares. We need change in our nation. We need change. We can't change. We are tired of dying. We are tired of dying. Let go. The politicians are fighting for their own freedom. Killing us, and young and old are starving. Because they don't care about us. The politicians are hunting for their seats, and the public is dying of disease, insecurity, with hunger. Please, public hunters, we are tired of dying. They don't care what, they don't care, they don't care what. Young and old are dying, nobody cares. We are jobless, nobody cares. The world that we are the leaders of tomorrow. We almost coming us. We are the leaders of today and tomorrow. The politicians are fighting for their own freedom. They need us, and we are starving. We are hungry and insecurity. The world is killing us for leaving. Oh, they don't care of us. They don't care of us. Let you much of brothers to die. Don't you mind, don't let no change. Nobody cares of you, and cares of your seed. We are right, and God is leaders. They don't know. We are dying of hunger. And it's disease and insecurity. You are for the peace of human war. Finish all promises, nobody cares. And what they say, it is true. It's a piece of particular. And where is our children? Where is humanity? Politicians are fighting for our freedom. Forgetting we are starving for us to die in Russia. We are tired of family war. We exploited us young. We need us one large problem. One dies food. They don't need us. We are tired for all. We are tired for all. Oh, everybody go. Oh, they don't care of us. They don't care. The politicians are fighting for their own freedom. Oh, killing us, young and old, starving. Because they don't care about us. The politicians are hunting for prestige, and public is dying disease, insecurity, but please, public hunters, we are tired of dying. They don't care what, they don't care, they don't care what, young and old are crying, nobody cares, we are jealous, nobody cares. That we are the leaders of tomorrow. Why you always coming us? We are the leaders of today and tomorrow. The politicians are fighting for their own freedom. They need us. We are stubborn. We are hungry. And insecurity. And we're killing unbelievers. Oh, they don't love us.
Very nice, very nice.
Very interesting song. Very nice.
Artist, he has really made it and he nailed it. Nothing will come outside from us. It is we who can make the change. Change will not come from anywhere. And even our politicians who are sitting up there in the public in the parliaments. Today, I would like to welcome my brother Moses Makerkenjuk. Welcome to Lagos State Media again, brother. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight to be with us this afternoon for us here in Eastern Standard Time of Australia. The discussion you have been watching, you follow up, and the reason why we put it in. This will be a series. We are starting now a series to talk. The road going to freedom. We are going to celebrate 10th anniversary of the Republic of South Sudan. And those 10 years, if we look back, what have we done? What have we achieved in the revolution of Sudan? That's number one. Number two, we need to compare ourselves with other countries. It is not South Sudan who has gone through such situations. There are other countries like first now we have watched Rwanda. One of the country we pick is very close to us as well. Just we cross Uganda and then is next. How did they bring peace about and coexistence to the genocide which has happened in 1994? My brother Don Lorgin, if you are just listening and you just cover yourself, I welcome you also to Lagos State.
Yeah, thank you. I'm here.
All right, then I didn't see your face before you cover your. That's good. Welcome back again. This is your platform, and we come to make some analysis. That's why I put it the road to freedom, equality is the first show. That this may be going on and on and on. There are a lot of comparison, a lot of political analysis that we will be discussing here with the many people who will join us. And so I'm happy to have all of you, Arnold Benjamin Bill, Moses Makerkenjuk, Dolorje. Welcome to Lagos State Media, all of you. I will start with my brother, Moses Makerkenjuk. Your analysis of the video comparison, what has happened in Rwanda, and what can we do as South Sudanese, because we are seeing ourselves, sometimes we are standing in the same spot, or we are going backward instead of going forward.
Well, Ustaz Isaac Tiang, Paul, I greet you, and I greet my brother Arnold Bill, and my brother Dol Largen, and our viewers in Lagos State Media. Thank you. This is a great topic, and we cannot exhaust it in one show, as you said. It will be an ongoing discussion for sharing ideas and learning from other countries. And as we have seen in the in the documentary. Thank you for sharing that documentary. And I thank you for giving me the first chance to talk. I thought my brother Arnold will go first, but thank you so much. He's been there, though I've turned on from the beginning, and I've also shared the show so others can see.
Yes.
But you have asked a big question. First of all, we are talking about the road to freedom. Before I put in my analysis, I would like to say that freedom has not been understood very well in the context of South Sudan. What is freedom really? We need to clarify it to our people, and because some people think after the independence of 2011, then that is the only freedom we've been fighting for. Therefore, we have to shut our mouth. We don't have to say anything. We have to be satisfied with the independence. That is the freedom, and nobody should say anything to be an opposition or to correct the government or to give an idea that things are not going well. We need to do more. So freedom did not end on 9th of July 2011. It began. That was the beginning of freedom.
Yes.
Yes, in my perspective. And from 2011 up to 2021 today, we have a big foregone or huge opportunity. We call it in economics opportunity cost, a foregone opportunity of 10 years. And within that 10 years, from independent July 2011.
Moses, your internet, I think you have a network problem. Your voice is coming cutting. We have distorted message.
Message.
We
Yes.
miss out some of the words you are saying.
Okay, what I will do, I will exit, or if you are not hearing me well, I will exit and delete other running program in the computer or in the system here. And I will come back, because if they are not hearing me, then there is no point to waste their time. And
yeah, I can hear very nice. I don't know.
Do you hear him very well? And
Yes.
are you hearing him well?
Yeah, I think it's clearer.
If they are hearing me, then I can continue.
Then continue.
Okay, continue. You are clear.
All right.
Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. I may need to talk loud.
Yeah.
Well, I start with the freedom. First of all, I said freedom need to be clarified in our mindset as South Sudanese. We have a misconceived concept of freedom in South Sudan. Most of our citizens, including our liberators, they think that since 9th of July 2011, we are already free. We are free people, free country. Then we don't need to talk about freedom in public. We don't need to talk about challenging the government that freedom is not complete. But in my perspective, I'm going to say that the freedom of South Sudan and the people of South Sudan began on 9th of July 2011. It did not end there. So now we've been in a journey of 10 years searching for the meaning of freedom. What does it mean for the citizens of South Sudan to be free? Did that freedom been translated into changing our livelihood, into improving our lives? And that is what we should answer. And from there, we can understand that we have a 10 years foregone opportunity cost from 2011 to 2021. I am not going to go back before independence, because we may have a reason that we were not independent. So let us start our accountability or our discussion from 2011 up to 2021, 10 years. We have lost 10 years of time and energy and resources wasted in unproductive activities. whether these government are government activities or civil society activities or the whole nation activities. We did not understand that freedom, the meaning of freedom is development. So if you want to celebrate 9th of July, you need to look at the human development and the economic development that we have in South Sudan. That's what we should be celebrating. Not only that we got freedom from Arabs. And what next? So what when we are free from Arab? Are we better off or worse off? So that's what I will talk more about. The documentary is very, very important. And in which context? There are three things that we have to know. One, every country starts from somewhere. They learn from other countries. There's something called political will. That's number one. There must be a political will in a country that the government of the day is willing to have a vision and a team that can work to achieve development. So the one issue that we face in our country, there is no political will to aim higher above independence there. We need the state governments, the federal government or national government to have a political will that our freedom did not end on 2011. It has begun. The state and the national government must have a political will to develop the nation. That should come from leadership. If you are a governor, if you are a national minister, or the president cannot develop the country alone. But what is needed from the president is the visions and to appoint the team to manage the public resources and the economy. So there is no political will, and I will elaborate more on that. Paul Kagame had a political will to develop Rwanda, and his vision is green development. So development has a formula in the world. As my brother Isaac has said, we are not the only country to start from scratch or to be independent. There are so many countries before us, and there will be other countries that will get independent in the future. There is a formula for development. Once there is a political will, the government must, and the state, when I say government, I'm not only talking about Juba government, I'm talking about 10 state governments plus the national government. The formula for development is simple. One, you must start with saving the money you get from national revenues. Whether these revenues are from oil, as 98% of our money come from oil, and the rest come from non-oil revenues in South Sudan. So if there is a political will, the starting point is to start saving that oil revenues. That's the first one, saving. Second, growth. After growth, economic growth, then you talk about development. But we did not focus on saving the oil money and utilizing and investing that money in development of South Sudan at the state level and at national level. If you see what revenues have been collected at the state as non-oil revenues and what they get from oil revenues as transfer to state, both the state and national government are not saving to invest in key projects like employment, agriculture, tourism, roads, developing modern infrastructure, building schools, airport in each state, and reliable telecommunication, and green energy for electricity power. So we have not, the state government have not saved money. And I have worked there in the National Ministry of Finance for 3 years in Juba. I know how much come into the national revenues and how much goes to states. In terms of revenue, South Sudan is not a poor country, my brothers and sisters. I know there are sisters watching. They might not be in the studio or in the panels. South Sudan is never a poor country. We have a lot of money that if it is saved for national projects and state projects, development can start so fast. So within the last 10 years, we would have built at least best 10 airports in South Sudan, one best airport in each state, and good roads and schools. But why did I say that we have lost 10 years, forgone opportunity cost? Because we focus our energy and our money in unproductive activities, which is war. For the last 10 years, the scapegoat that we blame is war. Both states talk about internal conflicts, intercommunal conflicts, and insecurity. The national government talk about rebels. So that is the excuse that we have taken as South Sudanese, especially the state government and the national government. They say that's the reason why we are not developing South Sudan for the last 10 years, because there is insecurity. But that is a lame excuse. It is a lame excuse because Israel is developing when there is a war every day. So there are so many countries that are developing when there is war. For example, in 7 states in South Sudan, there is reasonable peace. You can say Upper Nile was destroyed by 2013. But what about a will? A will is very safe. You can build roads and airport and schools and create jobs for young people and do agricultural projects. So in terms of saving the revenues and using them for economic growth, invest them investing them in national project and state project, we have failed on that. So that's the first thing. We need to understand why we have wasted 10 years in wars instead of developing our South Sudan, so we can understand the meaning of freedom. So we can say that truly, we South Sudanese, we are free because we are experiencing economic development and human development. Our livelihood is improving at rural areas and at development at urban areas in Juba and 10 states, capital cities. So that has not happened. The second thing is the capacity, weak capacity. There was weak capacity. So I talk about political will, and then I will talk about the weak capacity. And the third one, I will talk about the best practices around that we can learn from. And I give chance to other brothers. So it is not going to be exhausted in one show. The road to freedom is a long road. We cannot exhaust it in even 10 shows. But I'm saying 3 reasons that has cost us 10 years, forgone 10 years without benefiting from it. The first reason, there's no political will. The second reason, weak capacity of public institution in the country. And we have rejected to learn from the best practices around the world. So I have talked about the lack of political will, and in terms of following the formula of development, which is saving the money, the revenues, and investing them in the economy so that we can have economic growth and then development. As we have seen in Rwanda, the growth rate is 8% per year because they have saved their money, the revenues that they are collecting from the natural resources and from non-oil, non-minerals revenues. They have saved them and then they have invested them. So it is 4 things: saving the money, investing them, and you will grow the economy and then develop. So it is a formula. If you don't do the first one, you don't save, you will have nothing to invest in national projects. If you have no investment for national projects, then you will have no development in the country. You will have no economic growth, because economic growth comes before development. So if you have no economic growth in the country, then you will not talk about development. If we cannot talk about development, then we are not free. So that's the first thing we talk about, that there is no political will in the country to utilize the oil resources and the non-oil revenue for our development. Second is weak public institutions. We have very weak public institutions that we have inherited from Jalaba. Those public institutions start with the ministries, like Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, all these ministries. If you go to ministerial conflicts in Juba, that is the legacy of Joseph Lago and Abel Alier, you will see those institutions are in names. يعني بتلقى وزارة بالاسم, تلقى Ministry of Infrastructure, but they have no plan for modern infrastructure in South Sudan. You go for Ministry of Education, what the general education or higher education, they have no one joint curriculum for the country. Every secondary school have their own curriculum. So they have no vision. Each ministry should have a vision, and because each ministry is established by law, and there is a law and legislation that guide the ministry to fulfill their visions and missions in the nation. Whether it is national ministry or state ministry, a minister must have a vision, a strong team, and a personal character, especially in terms of corruption, not to be a corrupted leader. And that vision in the ministry will be translated into development projects. And the ministry will come to the Minister of Finance to get the funding, or through joint venture that we have heard about it in Rwanda. Joint venture in economics means that the people who have capital, and you have labor, and you have land. We have land in South Sudan. We have people that can work, but we don't have much money, maybe, or machineries. The foreigner can make a joint venture with the national citizens, and they can develop a project. So it is a joint venture between a foreigner that is interested to invest in a state, let's say in Lagos State, or Warab State, or Equatoria, or Central or Western Equatoria, or Malakal. There must be a citizens of that state that is willing to make a joint venture with an investor in a foreign land. But if there is no law and order and security, there will be no room for joint ventures. So that can help the weak institutions that are not delivering through private investment, joint sector, and also government can do a joint venture with other governments that are interested to invest. So the capacity of our institution has let us down. The institution are not serving the public policy. Public policy is all about public interest. So the institution are serving private interests. So you will find a ministry is not serving the public interest, whether at the state level or a national level. They only serve the private interests of few individuals who call themselves liberators, and who have given themselves a license to loot the public resources, to go to their pocket and their account without investing them in national projects in the country or in the state. So that shows that our institutions are weak, are personalized. They are not truly public institutions that are inclusive. So until we reach a level of having public institutions that serve the public interest, then we don't have credible institutions. to be part of the formula of development. The third one is we in South Sudan have rejected to best practices around the world. So the first one is lack of political will. The second one, weak institution. The third one, we have rejected to learn from Rwanda, from Tanzania. Those are two examples from the region. Rwanda is the best example, and Tanzania. And around the world, you have South Korea, and you have Singapore, and you have Israel itself. But we South Sudanese, especially I'm talking about the government and the public institutions, we have rejected the best practices around the world. As Isaac Tiang has said, we are not the first country to be independent. We are not the only country that the citizen and the government should thrive for development. There are so many countries that started from zero to hero. But God has blessed South Sudan with a lot of resources. So we can even miss that. We cannot talk much about saving because God has already saved the oil money for us, the oil on the ground for us. Other countries develop without oil. They just reform the tax system and they use tax money to finance the government activities, whether national projects or day-to-day government activities. But we are so blessed with the oil revenues that if it is used in investment in few key projects every year, we will have we will develop like Rwanda, like Tanzania, and like South Korea. Because in the 21st century, you can transfer technology. I have done international economic law, and what is important there is intellectual property law. In 21st century, you don't need to make your own technology in South Sudan. Whether any kind of technology that is used in economic activities in the country, you can sign a contract with that country, that investor in US, in Japan, that has that technology to improve agriculture, for example, and you just follow the guidelines. You don't violate that. You can have the best companies in South Sudan, provided that you follow their standard. You see, but we have rejected to learn from other countries. For example, in Tanzania have a vision of self-reliance that within certain period of time, 20 years, and it started with Julius Nyerere. It did not start only with John Magufuli. That vision started with Julius Nyerere, that we need Tanzania to be self-reliant country, a country that does not depend on IMF, that does not depend on World Bank, that does not depend on UN. But we have to start with agriculture so we can deal with this what we call now sustainable development goals. We have to address the issue of hunger, so there is no person who is going without something to eat in the country. We have to deal with our education. We have to deal with our health. We have to deal with clean water and sanitation in the country. We have to deal with our roads. So what they did, Nyerere said that the vision is we have to rely on ourselves. And Tanzania was two countries, Tanganyika and Zanzibar. So they joined them and called it Tanzania in 1960s. And that leader, Julia Nyerere, came with a vision of self-reliance. And they started from rural areas. They will have a meeting with the community and say every 10 people or 20 people will be given subsidies by the government to make their agricultural project, every 10 or 20 people. And the banks, agricultural banks, was given money by the government to give loans to those communities. So the young people and people in every community in Tanzania were engaged, busy in agriculture, busy in building bricks in the country. If you have a project of bricks, 20 people, the government will give you loan to develop it. And if you have a project of carpentry or agriculture, the government was willing to help to give micro loans to those communities at the state levels in every state. So in 10 years, nobody was talking about hunger of food in Tanzania. And even now, if you go to Tanzania, Tanzania is like Egypt. You don't know who is a minister and who is, Kafir, who is, what do you call it? A driver, or who is a labor, a man that is working in the restaurant, or people have they have their daily food. They can get clean water. They can sleep in a clean house with electricity. So they rely on what they produce more than what they imported.
They expect from outside, yeah.
Yes, but for us, 90% of what we consume of goods and services that we consume in South Sudan are imported goods. So if we have learned from Tanzania and Rwanda to produce our local food for our local consumption, even if we are not exporting food, we will have enough food for our people. That we will not import maize, Asharif, from Uganda, will not import
potatoes, tomatoes, and everything that we can cultivate.
Bananas and chicken. These things are now, if you go to the best 5 restaurants like Pyramids in Juba, they import all the things, and Crown Hotel and Star Hotel, all the best hotel in the capital city. They don't consume the local produce. They import all those things, those goods from Uganda and Kenya. This is leaving us unproductive. So the young people have not been engaged in our country to be engaged in productive economic activities. So that's why there is a room for rebellion, there is a room for violence, because the young people have not been engaged. For us to engage the young people, like Tanzania, we need to create projects, development projects. And I will leave a chance to my brother Arnold Biel. And what I have said is that we have wasted 10 years in South Sudan without any development because of 3 factors. One, there was no political will from national government and the state governments. Second, there are weak public institutions at the state level and national level. Third, we have rejected to learn from best practices around the world. We want to invent our own way of development, and it is not working with us. And I will comment later. But thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I thanks all the viewers.
Thank you so much, Moses Makir, for sharing your view and analysis with Lagos State Media and the whole our followers. That's the reason we are here. We need to look back and find out exactly if there is something wrong, as history said, Bob Marley. When you get lost, if you don't know your background, you will never know the future. So we have to step back meters to find out where we missed the track. And that's why we try to compare ourselves with other countries who has gone into the hardest atrocities more than what is happening in South Sudan. But now they are established. They have a good development, peace, and everything is running properly. This is the series that we are starting. And if we come up here, like everybody, you make your own analysis of the video of Rwanda. We have seen and we have watched, and the world knows what has happened. And Rwanda was only just few tribes, Hutus and Tutsis. And the genocide that has happened in Rwanda was the worst in Africa in general in the history. But now, even the national IDs that they used to put the tribes line names and something like that, they change it. They become Rwandese. If you ask somebody, where you from? He will say, I'm from Rwanda. Which part? I'm a Rwandese. Simple. This is the message that we want to go outside to preach to our people in the Republic of South Sudan. We are a young nation, and we haven't yet reached to that level, but we need to stop it. And how to stop it? To open the ways to our diaspora. As we have seen in the video, the diaspora has contributed more than those who were in Rwanda, because they have acquired the knowledge outside in a different capacity, and they brought it in all at once. And from there, this is where Rwanda now is speeding and is now in the highest level among the other countries who have been peace since they get independent from colonials. So this is why we are here to remind ourselves how we can preach coexistence, peace, and to bring back those who have talents and capacity in diaspora to come and use that knowledge to our people. My brother Agar Deng Mabok, welcome. You were in the appointment. I know you gave me the reason before, and thank you if you have come in. We have Dollarjin. We haven't seen him. Okay, yeah, Dr. Dollarjin.
Okay.
I think you have heard what we are talking about here and what Arnold has elaborated about the video we have watched and the speech of Moses McCare, and also what we are here. We need really to be focusing. It is us who will destroy South Sudan. It is us who will bring South Sudan to such level to compare ourselves like Rwanda or like other countries that have gone through worse wars. China is now competing in the world level. It's competing with America. And 30 years back, it was bankruptcy, very poverty. They reduced the rate of birth and all these things. You are a doctor, you know all these things. I will let you know. Let you go ahead, please go.
Yeah, first I just want to say hi to the viewers, the people of South Sudan listening online, and our brothers here who are on the show. My name is Dalarjin, leader of the UPSS Union Party of South Sudan. You know, I was hearing and I watched the video when you were sharing the those stories from the victim of the war in Rwanda, maybe South Sudan. One thing I just wanted to warn our people is that usually, you know, equating things that don't match sometimes can really bring confusion to the people. Our history is very unique. Actually, one of the history in South Sudan is not the Rwanda case, and that's what I wanted to make for anybody who go to school, social science. They are not the same. When I was in school, I studied the case of Rwanda. It's not the same as our issue in South Sudan, and that is what I wanted you to I wanted to point out that because, you know, even right now people are still debating. They are thinking about whether what happened in South Sudan was really a genocide as compared to Rwanda.
Just hang on a second. I need to clarify something to you, Dr. Lorgen. The reason we bring that video, it doesn't mean that in South Sudan there was genocide or something like that. It's some countries in the world, they went into the horrific history, atrocities, hatred, and they managed to come back together to develop their country. Why us? Ours is still on the way. So
very good, very good. And I can answer that very quick. You know, first of all, the reason that you can see so many countries has actually gone to that hardship and they are able to cope with the situation is because, you know, they address the problem using a proper a proper formula to address the problem, which is not the case to our issue here. First of all, you know, when you have a problem, whether it's a killing, whether it's a war, or whether it's a simple problem, the thing that you wanted to do is you make sure that you involve everyone that was actually involved in the problem. Because if you left some people out, that means you have left some of the problem outside, and it's going to be a big problem later, or maybe the problem will be hiding there. In English, there is a whole saying. I think is one of those English in European countries. They say every cloud has a silver lining, meaning, you know, somewhere there must be a good thing can really be hiding somewhere. So if you leave thing out, if you leave a very small thing out, ignoring them, you cannot solve the problem. And also, most of these countries you see they are able to solve problem is because the first thing they do is to make sure that they don't repeat what had happened. They try to avoid. In our case, usually we are developing, and that's why you see every time it repeats itself. Okay, so this is one of the things that we don't address. The third thing is that we usually, country that really manage to address problem is that they admit any action that was done that has turned to be bad. Let's say maybe is a genocide of the Nuer in Juba. If that one is not admit, it's going to be problem. Let's say another one is was a genocide in Bor, or maybe was maybe a couple killing of maybe a certain ethnic group in Equatoria. If that thing is not admitted, my brother, this we are not solving anything. And that is what I'm talking about, the experience, how theories are studied, what is possible, what can work, and what is not working. So our problem is not working because we are not addressing the problem using the right tool. And this is one of the only thing what leaders are doing right now is running. They run for people who have knowledge. And they forget even the South Sudanese are, I met with, especially in America here, there are so many doctors with PhD. They run away from the country. They are not in the country. They are South Sudanese. They run away from the country and they are working in Europe, America, Australia, because, you know, they are not wanted there. And this is a big problem now. The problem, our country, because they lack this kind of skill, they run to Rwanda, they run to Uganda, they run to Kenya, they run to Khartoum for simple thing like addressing the problem. And they think they will come with peace. You see that illusion? Those are the problem. Instead, they come with problem. So eventually now, if we have to compare with this problem, like when we get our, you calling this as a, you say it was a freedom, a road to freedom. Well, if you go to manifesto of John Garang in the SPLA, the beginning of the SPLA, they stated about three major things to be achieved after the war, when the war is won. And one of it is the freedom, liberty, and justice. So, you know, now if you go simply, you wanted to go and ask them whether any of these three has been achieved, it's none. Because right now, there is no freedom in the country. Okay, nobody is free. Even those who are in Juba now, the leaders themselves, they are not free. Actually, calling themselves as a secure arrangement mean they are even worried. They have a fear of life, of their own life, and they call themselves their leaders. So that means freedom that was spelled in the SPLA vision is not yet achieved. Liberty, you know, is kind of tied together with the freedom, but liberty usually is about thinking, is about a right to think, to your thinking. Like if you control my thinking, then I'm not free. I don't have liberty. And justice, John Garang was, and most of the SPLA senior, they were saying that the Sharia, Arab Sharia, was the main problem, plus marginalization. Well,
the
right
network,
now,
is it my side here that is stucking, or do you people hear him well and good? Is it clear for you all, guys?
Yeah,
I
it's
am
clear for
hearing
me.
him very clear.
okay.
There's
Now,
echo.
Yeah, it's coming distorted, and yeah, I can't
yeah,
hear him properly. I don't know, maybe it's my side here or your
I
side.
think it's your side because they say they are hearing. So, my brother Isaac, you know, our problem in South Sudan, I describe it as tribalism because the country, after we get our independence, was supposed to be organized as a country, not as a tribal group. And that's what I observed because when I finished school, I went back home, I work in Juba. So I make research, I go from state to different state. And what was happening is that the country, even Payam counties, Buma, all this stuff, they are organized according to tribal line, to your own skin. That means people who are related according to the blood. That is a very, very, very dangerous organization of a country. And for me, I usually argue that the problem that was occur is actually a tribal war produced because of tribalism and because the country is organized according to tribal line. Simple. If we have a different organization, if we had in 2011,
How can we do that? How can we bring peace about?
well, with me, you know, I have a lot of program to address the problem of South Sudan. I have really, really a lot of program. First of all, you know, there are I outlined 7 strategies to bring peace, to bring real peace, not the one you borrow from Sudan or from Addis Ababa, the one we can produce by ourselves in South Sudan. I only have 7 strategies, and they all start with A. All of them start with A. The first one is to address the root cause, address the root cause of the war or of the problem. That means addressing the anybody involved in the war must be addressed. Okay? That is the first strategies that we can see a real peace. The second one is to avoid the problem to repeat itself again. You know, we must make sure that problem doesn't repeat itself so that we can solve it.
Yeah.
That means avoiding. Okay. And then there's the third one is to admit your own action. If it is you either who did what, you have to admit it, because the first thing we have to pardon everybody. Because the reason people don't admit is because maybe they are fearing of the consequences. And that is not peace when people have a fear of that. So the first thing we have to admit the action, whatever we did must be admitted. So when we admit that, then it gives us that there will be a responsibility somewhere. And the fourth one is acknowledge anyone who was a victim. We must acknowledge them. We cannot say, oh no, it was these were the civilian, they don't, or maybe they don't have relatives, they don't mean nothing. That is very dangerous. We have to admit whoever got hurt, whoever got lost, whoever was property loss, and anyone who actually lost something during this problem. This is the way and then the fifth one is to accept. We must accept the consequences, whether it's a jail, whether it's a kind of conversation, whether it's something that will cause people to lose their life. And that's one of the things that this part you can compare it to Rwanda. Why Rwanda? Why we say Rwanda now? They have a kind of peace after the genocide, is because of accepting the consequences. Most of the general that actually committed atrocity, whoever actually did something, they are paying for it. And right now there is, I think, there is a tribunal court, I think is in the Tanzania, or maybe the border between Tanzania. They have established a court there to only for Rwanda case. So that means anybody who actually did something is proved by the law must pay for it. That is what we call consequences of the problem. And if we don't accept them, then we are not solving the problem. That means we are just inviting the problem and increasing. The other thing is that when we accept the consequences, then now we can think of changing our behavior. Not changing, you must change how you behave. And you must accept that you must become a different person. You must accept that we behave wrong, and that is why the war was happening. Is because our behavior is not accepted not accepted by the other people within ourselves. So altering, or maybe we call behavior or changing your own behavior, is one of the things that can be on my strategy that can help us to address this issue of and then the last one is to ask for forgiveness. And that's why sometimes I use the Bible, because in the Bible, one thing we have forgotten is that our country, we struggle, we never win by the barrel of the gun. It was only that through prayers and through other friends, people who pray for us, and God listened to us, I believe that is why actually we got our independence. But the general, those guys who have hold a gun, they forget that. They only were living in their own power of gun. I call it gun power, actually. And that's why in Juba, if you go there, you can see this, what I'm talking about, gun power. If you don't have like a structure, or maybe 3 people, 10 people walking behind you, you are not a man in South Sudan. It's called gun power. Nobody, you cannot be a man. You have to have at least couple people, just armed group. Then you can be a man. Now you can say anything, and you will be heard. So that is what we call people. They forget God. They are believing in their own power, and usually that kind of nation is usually is not going anywhere. It can break any time, because our people don't have God. In another way, they are being led by demon, and that is what I see in actually in our country. Because if we are people of God, usually God people, the first thing they do, they don't run away from problem. Because if you have God in you, whether it's a problem like what, you have to know that problem are actually opportunity for things. Our brothers was talking about development. So in this now intellectual, the way we view problem is an opportunity, is opportunity for a good thing. That is somebody who is a God-fearing look at the problem. Because I say this is an opportunity, because when we are faced with problem, difficult problem that we cannot solve, the only person we can go to is God, and that is okay. The other thing is that if we think we can solve it, we can help. That's why you see sometimes people send money. You are in abroad, you send your money to people who are suffering. You are actually helping because of the problem. So if there is no problem, those people will not get money. So you see how problem can really become something that an opportunity for people to work together. For us, when we see problem, we wanted to fight it because we think it's a bad thing. And that is why most of our thinking will never be right. So we will ever be led by demons. So my brothers, just to conclude, this issue is a big problem. It needs us, not help from foreigners outside neighboring. No, peace must come within us if we really need a change. Yes. And I wanted you to use the Bible. There is First Corinthians chapter 13 verse 5, and there is a book of Psalm chapter 103 verse 12, and there is a book of Isa chapter 43 verse 25, and there is a book of Colossians chapter 3 verse 12. All this, they are talking about how we can actually achieve a peace that is of God, not from Kenya, not from Khartoum, a peace that is directly from the Bible.
All right.
And that is the peace that can really help solve our problem. So thank you very much. I will come later on.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much,
God bless you.
Lordin, for your opinion and liberation. Thank you. My brother Arnold, you unmute yourself. You need to briefly go in because this is a series. Will be a continuation show that we will be discussing until we pass July 9. We still will be discussing this to bring our people back and also to attract attention to those who neglect the right path. That's the reason. Arnold, thank you. Welcome.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Isaac, for giving me another opportunity to elaborate what I heard from that. One thing I want to make clear here, when we choose this documentary, we choose the documentary by the reason, not just show. Really, because all documentary is stated the same thing happened in Rwanda is happened to South Sudan. And we need a way forward to solve the problem of South Sudan. As you mentioned, Isaac,
yeah,
we are not pinpoint to a government or anybody else.
Correct.
We are the youth. We are responsible for development of South Sudan. This is the new venue right now. This is the new show. This is a new start. Our leaders fail us to achieve what they call development and reconciliation and peace in the country. But we, as a young people, what is our role here? This is the point of this show. That's why we brought this show. We really need to teach our leaders so that you guys, if you guys cannot help or solve any problem between Sudan, you can depart and leave people that can do that so easily. Can happen. That's why sometimes it's really hard for me as Arnold Bill. I have both sides. I have Nuer blood and I have a Dinka blood. So that's really painful me. Any loss, it will affect me. That's why we really need to focus on solving the problem of South Sudan right now. We are not finger point to anybody, but we really need help. We really need a solution for the problem of South Sudan so that the next generation will live in harmony and peace. This is our aim, and a lot of documentary will come after this. This is what I want to say. We are not a pointing point, but when you talk, you have to bring your solution. What do you see that can help our leaders back home in South Sudan to do it? They might be know that, they might be they don't know that because of their ignorance, but we as what they call diaspora, we learn a lot from the country we went to. So this experience, we have to take it and bring it back home so that we live to have our people to bring our country back. That's the team, Isaac. I don't want to talk too much, but because right now we really need solution. Everybody, if you have a solution in your mind, please bring on to us so that our leaders can benefit from us.
Correct.
This is the main idea. Thank you so much.
That's right. Thank you. Thank you so much, Arnold. I appreciate your participation and your analysis that you have thrown in. And also our brothers and the viewers, those who write comments and those who are watching us in different part of the world. I have to say thank you so much. We have reached now to
Isaac, I would like to just give 1 minute before you conclude.
Okay,
go ahead. Closing remark. Yeah, thank you, Brother Arnold Bill, for your visions and commitment to engage in this positive discussion. And I thank my brother, Dr. Largin. It's good. We don't need to be on one page in everything. That will not solve our problem in South Sudan. So if you come with theocracy beliefs, it can help sometimes. Like Dr. Trabi used Islam and he changed things. So to me, I really don't mind if you have a solution that is based in the Bible that can address the problem. You can sell it, whether through Lake State Media or other forums. And I admire your 7A strategy. Thank you for sharing them with our people. Second, I've talked about the reason, and I thanks Arnold Bill that we are here not only to point out the problems, but we are here also to propose solutions. And that's why I told Isaac that I need to say in 1 minute what is the way forward. I've just said the factors that are hindering development in South Sudan and the misconception of what is freedom in South Sudan. To conclude, I have talked about the misconception of freedom in South Sudan. The liberators and some of our less understanding citizens, those who don't know their political rights and economic rights and social rights, think that the independence has ended on the Independence Day. But I think, and we here believe that independence has started, freedom has started on 9th of July. That was the time we started the journey of freedom. That we can say that we have now the opportunity from 9th of July up to now to develop ourselves. And the real meaning of freedom is development, human development and economic development. So until we reach that point in South Sudan, our politicians should be extra careful about claiming achievements because it is good for the people and the world to appreciate you as a leader. You don't say that I have achieved things by yourself. Like Paul Kagame now, the whole world has recognized him because he has developed Rwanda. He's not perfect, but he has done his best. The way forward for the three factors that I've said that are hindering South Sudan from enjoying freedom, development, which is the meaning of freedom, is I've talked about lack of political will. The way forward is the state government and the national government to have a political will. That's a simple one. Having a political will means it comes from nationalism. And if you are a nationalist, you know that you have a national responsibility at the state level or county level or state or national level. You must come with a project, not just to seek a position. So when you are at the state level, a commissioner or a governor or a minister at the state or an MP or a national minister or a president, you must have a vision, a clear vision, where people are going. What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to take the people? Are you going to take us to development? So if there is no political will, and we just search for position without political will to serve the public interest, we will waste another 10 years from now. The way forward for weak capacity in terms of public institutions is to accept diaspora to come in, as we have seen in Rwanda. They have welcomed their diaspora community, people with professional skill, people with money. But in South Sudan, diaspora are looked at as enemies. They only want us to send little money to our families, but they don't want us to join the development equation, to be part of the solution back home. So there should be willingness from the public institution to welcome people from diaspora to work in their country and to help in development and to contribute their ideas and experiences. And the final way forward is South Sudan must learn from the best practices in the world. There are so many best practices in terms of economics development, in terms of how to save the money, how to grow the economy, and how to do investment in national projects, and how to achieve sustainable development. And in terms of law and order, we can learn from countries that are peaceful. Yes, our culture is different, but the principles are the same. Everybody wants peace. And in a real term, peace cannot be given. You cannot make peace and you cannot give peace. You have to discover the peace within you. And there is peace in us in South Sudan. It's a matter of discovering it. You don't bring it from Juba, from Rwanda. You don't bring it from Khartoum. You don't bring it from Ethiopia. You don't import peace. Peace is within us in South Sudan. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Moses Makerkenjuk. Appreciate your remarks, conclusions. Would like also to give 1 minute to Arnold Benjamin Bill to give us just 1 minute remarks of conclusion. We are coming to closing this program now, but we have already started the journey. Yeah, this program will be there for a time that we as intellectuals and the sons and daughters of Republic of South Sudan in diaspora who have acquired different capacity of their energy to come and discuss and come together. We compare ourselves with other countries, and this is the way forward. My brother Arnold, further.
Yeah, thank you. Are you hearing me?
Yeah, you are loud clear.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Moses, and thank you, Dr. Dula, and then thank you, Tiang, for giving me another chance to conclude my perspective. What I want to say actually is not much, it's a small one, very short. As we know, we, South Sudan, we are a combination of the 64 tribe in South Sudan. 64 tribes in South Sudan, we really need to discover ourselves as one family. We can come together, we can achieve imaginable things if we come together. So when we say Nuer, Dinka, Chuluk or not, doesn't solve anything. As we see in Rwanda, somebody lost his mother and his sister. And you know what he said? He said, oh, now we are Rwanda, we have to build our new nation so that our new generation will live in harmony and peace. The same thing to us. If you put in your mind that you say, okay, I am a Nuer, I don't want to live with the Dinka, you are lying. Or you say, I am a Dinka, I'm not live with the Nuer, you are lying. South Sudan, this is a God who created South Sudan and make us to be a 64 tribe. We have to accept one another and then grab our hand, and then we're leading for the future. Future of South Sudan is our hand, is not in our leadership right now. So we, young generation, we have to think forward, a new ideas, a new agenda to bring it in from diaspora to help South Sudan to grow. Peace within us, not to anybody else. And peace, we will make it. If we don't have peace, if you don't have peace with yourself, so you cannot make peace with others. We need peace to be among us before we go ahead. Thank you so much. South Sudan will prevail, and the young generation will come up as a one people in South Sudan. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much, Arnold Bill. Thank you so much, my brother Moses Makikenjuk. Thank you so much, my brother Dr. Dol Lodgin. My co-host Hardeng Mabok was here with us. Also, thank you. The show is gonna be continuing weekly. We might be having some ideas and discussion politically. In July 9, we will be hosting the leader of NPM, National People Movement, Dr. Matur Gorjok. He will be with us to give us a presentation. He looks back 10 years, what did South Sudan has achieved, and his prospective views and his analysis, and then all of us, the panels, will be participants to ask questions. So get ready for that great show. And now this is the beginning of the journey to the freedom and equality. How can we make that to be like other people? I appreciate your presence, my people, and all our audience and outside there. God bless you all. Tune in to Lake State Media. You will get all the everything that you need on time. God bless you. We catch up again tomorrow morning. Appreciate everybody where you are. Have a peace. Thank you. Bye-bye.
It's your boy Young Ajibin that thing. Control like a stand and punch it America. Banyi door the banaban. Control like a stand and punch it America. Banyi door the banaban. Walk on your leg. Kankaro water no watching. Koga level leg. Gear power. Leg leg. Panda with ya. Punch it America. Panya dwala bano. Chingitongo pandon kujura baya cheka. Papu panda juru wabia bi. Panchira America, Panji Dwala, Panapan Pancha Legacy.